So, new era or same old story? Bit of a blunt way to put it, but there are a lot of interested voices practically screaming their frustration over the way the church is run, the way it treats women, the way some members have abused children, and the refusal to budge on some issues while the world moves on. Here again, Susan Ormiston.
On Rome's Aventine Hill, tourists pause for a sneak peek of the Vatican. For many, this is a perfect metaphor. St. Peter's, distant and locked down, protecting its secrets. The cardinals assembling this week are electing Benedict's successor, cut off from the billion Catholics whom they lead, shut away in the Sistine Chapel behind closed doors. As Benedict steps down, making way for a new pope, Marco Poli writes of what he leaves behind, a church in crisis.
It is absolutely a historic turning point for the church because the old, century-old way of seeing the church like an imperial power, and here in Rome the Catholic Church has been practically got the legacy of the Roman Empire. This way of an old imperial church is fading away.
The Catholic Church is an extremely successful multinational. It's got a huge customer base, it's global, it's recognized everywhere. On the other hand, it is a branding crisis.
If the Vatican were to apply a business model to its crisis, it might turn to a corporate doctor for strategies on improving the brand. With Rupert Younger's help, we sketched out some priorities in the new Pope's inbox.
What you would do is you would start off by saying, okay, what were the root causes of the particular crisis that we've arrived at?
Ireland was always the poster boy for the Vatican, the faithful, devout, submissive Catholics.
Tony Flannery is an Irish priest who's been censured and suspended by the church for his critiques.
They are just so totally out of touch with the reality of what life is like nowadays.
Irish faith has changed dramatically since 1979, when a pope came to Ireland for the first time.
He is easily the most beloved man in the country.
John Paul II had rock star status then.
They are no longer the submissive faithful. They are highly educated people with minds of their own. They can see what's going on and they want their voices to be heard, and they are very angry that the church is not listening to them.
Last year, the Vatican told Flannery to keep quiet or step down.
They wanted me to accept that women would never be ordained, and also that I accepted all the moral teaching of the Catholic Church, the teaching on contraception, the teaching on homosexuality. So for me to publish a statement with my name under it saying that I accepted all of those things would be impossible. I would be telling lies.
He may face excommunication. His wish for the new pope? Listen. It can't afford not to. The Catholic brand is shrinking. It's lost the trust of many clients, in part because of a dark dossier of sex in the workplace. Dengen is one name on the church's wall of shame, a residential school, one of over 100 in Ireland for poor, abandoned kids.
What years were you here?
1965 to 1967. 250 to 300 boys. There would be 30 Christian brothers.
John Kelly was 13 when he was sent here. His mom had 12 kids and no money.
Then as I approached down here to the bakery,
Kelly shows us the now abandoned buildings where he and other boys were secretly abused by their guardians in cassocks.
Pushed me into a ditch and I was soaking wet. And he used that as an excuse to get me into the showers. And in the next time I seen him, he was naked and he jumped in with me. I still am afraid of water or swimming pools even since. And then he, afterwards, when I was crying and screaming after everything, and I was blood coming down my backside, you know what he said to me? He said to me, he slapped me across the face and, how dare you? He started to quote Christ to me. He said, Christ, there was blood in him, he died on the cross, and you're talking about a little bit of pain and a bit of blood. The sanctimonious bastard, that's what he was saying to me, justifying it.
Children were sworn to silence. If they did tell, they weren't believed. It took 5 decades before a pope apologized.
Above all, I express my deep sorrow to the innocent victims of these unspeakable crimes.
In a letter to the Irish, Benedict wrote of their grievous suffering. But none of the Christian brothers here was prosecuted. Kelly's tormentor now lives a mile from his house in a retirement residence.
What are you sorry for? Are you sorry that you didn't get caught? Are you sorry that you didn't do anything about it? That's what the new Pope needs to be, a reformist.
You still have faith.
Yes, but I have faith in God. I don't have faith in St. Peter in Rome or his generals.
Yes, and then...
These women come to a support centre in Dublin, bound together by a sad history. In industrial schools, some Catholic sisters beat girls and turned a blind eye to abuse.
Right, okay, grand.
Christine Buckley set up this centre. She grew up in a church-run orphanage.
We made 600 rosary beads per day from the age of 7. And if you didn't do your quota of 600 rosary beads per day, you were beaten to a pulp, and then you were ordered to stand on a landing. And you stood there in your nightdress in the freezing cold until 2 or half 2 in the morning.
Buckley asked the church to prevent one Irish cardinal, Sean Brady, from going to the conclave.
He should not be in Rome. He covered up abuse in Ireland. I would love to be over there and to sit at a table and to look each of them in the face and say, did you cover sexual abuse? And if the answer is yes, they should leave immediately. And I wonder how many of the 115 would remain.
Women are waiting, not patiently, for their turn at the altar.
Would you want the next Pope to just give us more of the same, or would you say this is a real opportunity?
Professor Tina Beattie, a Catholic, runs a course for prospective teachers.
I'm Catholic, but I'm a realist. Even though I raise my children Catholic, I wouldn't raise them not to use contraception or, anything along those lines, because it's just not realistic anymore, and we are in a different century.
There's no way in modern society, with the values and expectations that women have, a bunch of ageing celibate men are going to be taken as the world authorities on women's reproductive health. They're just not. And it's time for them to give up that agenda. I do really most sincerely hope that the Holy Spirit is right now winging her way to Rome to bring about some much needed change.
Lastly, the new Pope needs to clean house. Sweep out the Roman Curia, the Vatican bureaucracy, tainted by Vatileaks and alleged corruption.
You need not only a spiritual personality, but also a leader, a personality who knows the art of governing. And this was the great failure of Benedict XVI.
What the new Pope needs to do to demonstrate that they're connected with the rank and file of the organisation, who at the end of the day are the people who will deliver the most regular contact with this incredibly large customer base that they have.
Do you think the Catholic Church would ever seek out advice like yours?
Well, I hope so. I look forward to it.
It is a tough turnaround in turbulent times. The election beginning tomorrow is just the start. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Rome.